last week, winning 4 out of 5 games during a tough schedule. Some back-to-backs in there, some travel. They were in Tampa. I think they were in Carolina. They played at home. They went to Pittsburgh. Then they went back home. But are they good enough to lift the cup in June? To answer that question and talk more about the Blue Shirts today, I'm joined by my friend Matty M, because I'm not pronouncing his last name, from Ranger Central. Matt, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining.
I'm good, man. I'm happy right now. Rangers played a good game yesterday. Beat the Bruins 5-2. Washington beat Carolina in a shootout today. Took a point from them. JD Martinez is a New York Met. It's good right now.
We're good right now. We're
Yeah, we're
good
good
right
right now.
now. So let's see. Tomorrow, the Rangers play at 8 against the Panthers. That's going to be a huge, huge test. Like, honestly, that's a very, very important game because, you may look at it and say, like, okay, this is a team that's not in their division. Maybe if you lose a game, it's fine. You come back and win the next one. But no, this is a Stanley Cup contender they're playing against. This is like a true contender. The Panthers they made it to the finals last year. They won the President's Trophy the year before. This is a good team that they're playing, and they need to come out and play like they played against Boston. If they could do that, I have hope that they could possibly come away with the victory. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be a tough game tomorrow. Obviously, the Panthers are one of the best teams in the NHL. They're probably my personal pick right now to win the cup, if I'm going to be honest. And yeah, they got to play they got to play good defense tomorrow like they did against Boston. And I think the one big factor for me is going into tomorrow's game is how are the Rangers going to move the puck up the ice? Because the one thing I've noticed this year from the Rangers is they struggle against teams that play the trap. And the Florida Panthers are one of the best teams at controlling the neutral zone and playing the 1-3-1 trap. If they could be able to move the puck up the ice tomorrow cleanly, then I mean, listen. We got to see. They're a good team. Rangers are a good team when they decide they want to play, their game. It's going to be interesting tomorrow.
The Rangers, the last time they played the Panthers, I thought they started off, it was pretty even, pretty similar to how Winnipeg went in the beginning. I thought the Rangers were playing really well. From what I saw in the second period, they got they were up and they had the lead, right? And then they took a couple penalties. Maybe they shouldn't have been called, but that's when they lost all the momentum. And then the Panthers really just took the game from there. So if the Rangers could just not lose focus and stick to their game plan, if they come out strong and stick to that mentality and that plan, like they started against Winnipeg, but just don't shit the bed. You know what I mean? Like that's like a recipe for success. Like that's a formula that you could follow. The Rangers have always had trouble against teams that trap. It's been a number of years now where this has been an issue, but I mean, you're going up against this is the here and now, right now. Florida, like you said, it's a good pick to win the Stanley Cup. Like a couple of years ago, I remember people wrote that team off. I was like, I don't know, man. They got a lot of talent on there. They have if they get a couple more pieces, maybe a new coach or something like that. They got Quenneville a couple of years ago, and then he left, and then Brunette came in and filled in pretty nicely. They won the Presidents anyways, and now they have a legendary coach, legendary if it could win the cup, Paul Maurice. That's a dangerous team, man.
No, they're a deep team. They got a good coach, good system. Guys who can put the puck in the net. You look at guys like Reinhardt, who's having an unbelievable contract year. Barkov. You look at their defense. Guys like Forsling, Montour, Ekblad, and then you got a guy like Sergei Bobrovsky, who, really since the contract, he hasn't lived up to that contract. But ever since that playoff run, that playoff run last year, he's found his game again, and he's having another strong year this year.
He's not the Sergei Bobrovsky that we knew he was like when he signed that contract, but at the very least he's like average. And for a team of that caliber to have an average goalie is a huge plus because a lot of these other teams, like the Maple Leafs or the Hurricanes, they don't get or the Devils even, they don't get average goaltending and their team suffers. Like the Devils aren't in the playoffs. The Maple Leafs aren't in first place. Like if they had solid goaltending, maybe they'd be pushing for President's Trophy. I don't know. But that seems to be an issue with a lot of these teams. But with Bobrovsky, even though he's got a ridiculous contract, to have him play average, it's still a big benefit for them. I think that's something they could deal with. Plus they also have I think they have Spencer Knight still, right?
Um, yeah, he's still there. I
Yeah,
think he's in the or he's either in the mines right now or he's still in the player assistance program.
oh, right. Yep, I
Because I
forgot
know
about that.
because I know they got lines in Detroit right now.
Spencer Knight's AHL stroke. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's in the AHL. Okay. So, anyways, let's go back to some of these games that the Rangers played on the road trip. They got a big 1-0 win against Carolina. I talked about that last week. Then they played Tampa Bay. That was a bit of a stinker because they were up 2-0, and it seemed like they, you know, after Brodzinski turned over that puck in the second period and points scored, who had a monster game. I think he had 6 points, right? 5, 6 points.
Yeah, had a hat trick and I think 5 points.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that guy, all their big time players, Tampa Bay's big time players, they stepped up like after this like midway through the second period. At first, like the Rangers were in total control, and then I guess I don't know if they got tired or if they're everything just fell out from underneath them or what, or Tampa Bay stepped it up. I can't remember too much about that game, but um everything fell apart pretty quickly for the Rangers, and that was their one loss of the week. We'll come back to that in a little bit, but then the game against Pittsburgh, they scored 7 goals, right? But they also gave up a lot of opportunities. They gave up 3 or 4 goals, I think. 4 goals.
Yeah, yeah, it was 7-4 they won.
7-4 they
It was a classic Gerard Gallant Ranger game right there.
yeah. That one, the game against the Penguins is, even though they scored 7 goals, I feel like they kind of just took it on autopilot, just wasn't giving it 100%. Maybe because they knew Pittsburgh sucked. I don't know. Of course, you have the back to backs, and then the last game, the Rangers. I thought they saved the best for last. The best performance out of this road trip or this trip that this stretch of games that the Rangers had was that game against the Islanders. That third period was magnificent. They gave up 0 opportunities pretty much to the Islanders. They went into the period with a 1-goal lead and they stretched it to 3 and didn't let up anything. I think that's the way the Rangers need to play. How did you feel about that game?
Yeah, no, they impressed me that game in the third period. I think the first 2 periods they really weren't that great. Obviously, they had the lead through the second, but the third period they showed up and they played good shutdown hockey, the type of hockey you're going to need in the playoffs if you want to end up winning those 60 games to win the cup. And it's like I say, it's like I've been saying. Even though I've been really critical about this team, I've always said if the Rangers can stick to playing their game, I feel like they could beat anybody. The problem is, are they going to be consistent enough where they can put together, good games defensively, game in, game out? And that's the only thing that concerns me because there's too many times where they'll have two, 3 good games in a row defensively, and I'll go like, okay, I'm seeing something right now. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I know this team all too well. I'm like, eventually the carpet is going to get pulled out from under me, and they're going to go back to playing their bad defensive hockey. And that's why it's like for me, I'm like, I can't get excited about this team yet until like they actually win the cup because I'm like, I just don't trust them consistent. I just don't trust them playing good defensively consistency. That's at least for me.
That's the Mets fan in you that's talking, dude. I feel it. Like
That's
that's
all.
just
No, that's
when you expect something good to happen and then it just gets ripped away from you. That's the life of a Mets fan. Yes, that's nephew D. He's in the chat. We got to get him to watch some hockey. Like that kid, I need him to watch. He wants to come on the stream. I love my nephew. He's got to watch some hockey. He's got to watch some hockey. We got to get him into the Rangers, and he's got to watch with his uncle. Um, um, moving on to the game against Winnipeg, though. First couple minutes, or first period, really, first 20 minutes. I thought the Rangers were playing some really good hockey. They were keeping up with Winnipeg. I expected it to be a really close contested match. And it turned out that way. It was a 4-2 final for Winnipeg. But, I mean, I see people making the case the Rangers could have won that game. I felt the same way initially based on that first period. But I'm with you now. I raised my expectations. The bar is a lot higher for me. I'm not going to accept, meh or okay anymore. I want to see great and awesome, Like, after that first period, it just left a lot to be desired. Did you feel the same way?
It was the same problem that we saw against teams like I know they beat the Canes, but against the Canes and against the Panthers, Winnipeg, very good team at at doing the neutral zone trap, playing the 1-3-1, and the Rangers struggled at moving the puck up the ice. And ultimately, that's what cost them because they couldn't generate any chances. They couldn't move the puck up the ice, and Winnipeg's got a lot of firepower. You look at guys Scheifele, Connor, Ehlers. They're gonna burn you if you keep turning over the puck. That's what happened. And even like going back to that game because I know there's a lot of people that were discussing on Twitter about how the Rangers created a lot of high danger chances of that game. But when you really looked at it, they really didn't. And even Connor Hellebuck came out after the game and he said how their the Winnipeg's defense made the Rangers predictable. And that's like when the opposing team's goalie is going out and saying, that your offense is predictable, that's not a good sign, especially like, Winnipeg, who I think is going to go to the final out of the West. You know, you might come up against this Winnipeg team in the final, and you know, you can't just be predictable, and you just can't, constantly, shoot pucks into Hellebuck's chest because, Hellebuck's one of the, top goalies in the NHL,
He's a
obviously.
monster. That dude's a monster. He's Vezina Trophy winner this year for sure, I think. High standard D is what we love. It's better than optimistic D. And Kreider on that
Yeah.
goal Scheifele scored. Yeah, let's get into it. Kreider, man. Honestly, I'm very disappointed in the way he's been playing. He's shying away from body checks. He's not skating at full throttle. He's not doing full acceleration. This is not the Kreider that we've come to know and love. Like the Kreider that came up in 2012 and was blowing by people. The run into Carey Price, Chris Kreider driving hard to the net. We don't see that anymore. I don't get it. Like maybe because he's older, he's saving some for the playoffs. I wish it were, or wish that's the case. But on that goal, he was just caught in la la land. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. There's no like. I'm not that negative, so I can't describe it. How would you describe that goal? Like he saw the guy and didn't even make an attempt to go back and backtrack.
Lazy and unacceptable. And in the words of Don LaGreca, I would have cut his fat ass right there.
Yeah,
No, I would have.
good.
Listen, obviously, you're not going to cut him, but he shouldn't have seen the ice that game after that mistake. And it's like yeah, what Evan was saying, that cry that you were talking about before, he's long gone.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about like in the playoffs too, because last year he did come through in the playoffs. He was like one of our best players. I think he had the most points for the Rangers in the playoffs. But I think Laviolette, the way he's handled it, is is an acceptable way of doing it because he benched him. He didn't come out and say that he did, and I think there's a reason for that. If you look, I'm looking at how Tortorella's handling Couturier, right? If you missed it, John Tortorella scratched his captain for 2 games. I don't know. Yeah. He 2 games. Couturier got scratched for last night in Carolina, and then the other night, I think they played at home in Philly. But he scratched him. The media came out and asked him what's going on with Couturier. He said, "I'm not answering that question. This is between me and Sean." That's like one way to do it. And then you do the way Laviolette is doing it. And it's kind of like he's shielding Kreider from any unnecessary, like further criticism. Like the guy's got enough. He understands. Maybe he understands. Hopefully he does that. He's not playing to the standard that we all expect from him. But to have all these media outlets cover it and be on his ass, like that just adds fuel to the fire. He doesn't need that. If he could get Kreider to understand that he's not playing well, and get him and send that message to him and get him to improve that by all means without getting it out to PR, take it, do it. I mean, and then there was a stretch in the Boston game too, right? Where he didn't play.
Yeah, I think it was the end of the second period.
I think Brooksy was talking
Yeah.
about that. I'm going to pull that up now. Larry Brooks. I mean, you're talking about John Tortorella. You have to mention Larry Brooks,
You know,
Kreider, yeah, Kreider, whose game has been out of sorts for a while, had one even strength shift final 11:01 of the second, none the final 7:36. Rangers up 2-1 after a dominant second period. Wow. That's like that was even worse than how he was handled in the Winnipeg game. The first 9 minutes, he didn't get a shift. That's like 11:01, no shifts, and then the final 7:30. That's like one even strength shift in 18 and a half minutes, 18 minutes and 40 seconds, pretty much. That's the entire period that he didn't get a shift. That's like if that's not Laviolette saying like, "Dude, come on, Kreider, you gotta step it up here for us. You're slacking here." Then I don't know what is.
No, it was a well-deserved benching, and look, I would
Right.
personally, if it was me, I would like to see him get scratched for a game. I mean, if Torch can do it with Sean Couturier for 2 games in a row, and that's what pissed me off with the Rangers. It's like there's never accountability in terms of like the highest penalty, which is like a scratch. Like sure, like you'll get benched for a couple shifts, but it's like but then you'll be thrown out there right away. It's like what kind of message does this send? It's like remember last year, the game against Detroit where Kreider played horribly and he got demoted. I think it was down to the third or fourth line, and then the game went to overtime, and Kreider's right back out there first shift with Mika
Yeah.
in overtime. It's
Yeah.
like, what kind of
I remember
message
that.
does that send to the young guys? That's like, you could be a veteran, making, he doesn't make the highest amount of money, but he's one of the highest earners on the team. You could go out there, play like shit, and you could, still be the first guy out there for overtime, and we need the points.
This is warranted from Laviolette, in my opinion. This is completely warranted. I think, like, all right, you brought up that game last year against Detroit. I'm gonna bring up the game earlier this year against Anaheim, where I think he took a stupid ass penalty, right? And I think that Anaheim might have scored on it or something, killed momentum, and then he's back out there, and sure enough, he scores a goal, right? Like it's just like, all right, dude, you shouldn't be out there, but thank you for scoring the goal, and you have to accept it. But now, like that was in the middle of the season. The points didn't mean as much there. It was a Western Conference opponent. This is a game. This is the time now where every point matters, where they're trying to finish in first place. So Laviolette is probably trying to get the best out of all of his players. So, and like I said, this is warranted from Laviolette. And I want to say too, we don't want him benched because like we hate him. We want to make our best players even better, right? Like think about the playoffs last year. Matthew Tkachuk, great player, great player. When he started that playoff series against Boston, he turned to an amazing player. He went from here to all the way like top, like one of the best players in the league. That's what you need. When the playoffs start, game one in the playoffs, puck drop, your guys, your go-to guys have to be the best that they could ever possibly be. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously this was a long time ago, but and this was in 93, 94. But if Mike Keenan can scratch or bench or you know um what's it called, the Brian Leach, I mean, Peter Laviolette can do it to Chris Kreider. Sorry.
Yep. I was gonna say, yeah, you read my mind. Think about what happened to Brian Leach in '94 when he was benched and had all those trade rumors out. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
except we're not like saying trade Kreider because the trade deadline's done.
Well,
Maybe
there's
some people are saying like buy him out or trade him in the
there's
offseason.
there's always the off season.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, but I'm confident that Kreider could. He's been here for such a long time. I'm confident that he could come out and prove us all wrong. I remember I always complained about him not being consistent enough to get that contract, and he's been putting up 30 goals each of the past like 3 seasons. So, he certainly proved me wrong in that regard. Hopefully, he could, use that big frame of his and actually skate north south and lay the body. I think Davey Upper posted a clip where he kind of like just skated away from the Boston defender who was retrieving the puck instead of going after the player
Yeah.
and laying the body. Like Roslovic is even laying the body. He's very aggressive on the forecheck. Kreider, not so much. And that first line is playing, that top line now is playing with a lot of speed now that Roslovic is there. Have you noticed that too?
Yeah, he's been a welcome addition. I mean, if I'm gonna be fair, all the guys that the Rangers traded for at the deadline have been really good, especially Alex Wenberg. I think
Great.
he's been by far the best addition out of all the
Love him.
trades. I mean, his defensive work, especially with the stick in the neutral zone, on the penalty kill, breaking up passes. He's gotten involved in the offense. I think on the second Panarin goal, he's the one that he didn't get an assist on it, but he made the forecheck. I forgot who turned it over, but he turned it over. Panarin got it and put it in the net. And yeah, like you said, Roslovic, he's brought speed to that first line. He's brought the ability to forecheck on that first line. And Ruedel, like he's only played 2 games, but he's looked solid as well.
Yeah. Defensive pairs once Trouba and Lindgren return are going to be a problem, dude. Like you're not going to scratch Trouba because he's the captain. Even though the defense looks outstanding right now, Zach Jones, that kid's nickname, it should be tape, because every single pass that he makes is crisp and it's like right onto the stick of the forward. He never ever misses a pass. I love it. I think he's playing great right now.
If Zach Jones keeps this up, then I'm gonna have to issue a formal apology to him because I was disrespecting him earlier on the year. And to be fair, it was credited because he was not playing well early in the year, but ever since he's came into the lineup, he's just been excellent. And you know what? He keeps this play up, and I expect Gustafson, even though he hasn't had a good second half of the year, I think he's gonna get a pay rise. So I think he'll be gone next year. He's solidifying that spot right now as his own.
Yeah. You and me both, man. Like I owe him an apology too, because I was saying like this is the guy the Rangers are gonna trade. This is the big asset they have, and they've treated him like a soldier. Like I love the respect that Laviolette is giving him. He's the dude toughed out 45 healthy scratches to play this stretch of games right here in a playoff run. Like this is incredible. You love to see from the kid.
And I gotta give him another shout out because he had he had a tough matchup yesterday, going up against David Pastrnak, one of the best goal scorers in the league, and he shut him down yesterday.
The best defense is a good offense. He breaks the puck out really, really well. He's one of their only Rangers defensemen that could pass the puck out of the zone. Miller skated it out of the zone like one time, like really, like he went from behind the net and he just turned around and just full on beelined it up the ice. Like that was good. But like when Trouba comes back, like the pairs, I don't think that they're gonna keep Miller and Schneider a pair because who are you gonna put Trouba with? I mean, you're gonna go righty. You're gonna do Fox and Trouba and then leave like Jones and Gustafson, something like that, or you're gonna do like Fox and Jones and then Trouba Gustafson. I don't like that. I don't like Trouba and Gustafson. Or you could do Fox Gustafson and then Trouba Jones. I don't know, man. That's putting a lot of pressure on Jones to break the puck out every single time.
That's like what Evan was saying right there. I think this Schneider and Keandre pairing's playing too well. I don't think you can break them up. I'd go Gusty. I keep Gusty and Fox, and I'd go Jones and Trouba as the third pair.
Yeah, you'd be more. I would definitely be more comfortable with Jones Trouba over Trouba and Gustafson as a pair. Now, like when Lindgren comes back, I was listening to Mercogliano's podcast today. Fox Miller as a pair, right? Like let's say you do that and you have and then you have you do Trouba Lindgren. I don't like Trouba Lindgren because both guys can't break the puck out. And then you would have what? Jones Gustafson? Okay.
If Lindgren comes back, even though I would still like to keep that Keandre Schneider pairing, I'd probably go Miller Fox, Jones, probably Jones Lindgren, and then Trouba and
Gustafson.
Well, actually no, because no. See, that's tough because I don't want to play Trouba and that's tough because I really want to avoid a Schneider Jones pairing again. I just they just don't play well together.
Yeah. Evan said he doesn't know how Wenberg had bad metrics on the penalty kill. He's looked good. I think Vince was talking yesterday with Rob Luker on Twitter or X about how the expected goals for metrics on the penalty kill don't matter as much. It's like fool's gold. That's what one of the analysts on an NHL team was telling him. I didn't follow that conversation too much, but I don't really put too much stock into like those analytics on the power play. I really just look at the analytics at 5-on-5, but Wenberg, dude, is looked really, really good. It's so hard to see. Like, you think he's losing the puck because he's got the white stick when you watch on TV. it's so cool. It's like he's the only one that knows he has the puck.
Like when they played a game against the Blues and they were on the PK and Wenberg made that nice defensive play in their zone. He broke it up. He skated the puck out and he forced them a holding penalty. That was a really good play.
Yeah.
He's just been solid.
Yeah. Uh, our gripe with the deadline was never who they got. We just felt they needed a
Yeah.
difference maker. Yeah, like that's like how has Gensel played for the Hurricanes? Like, has he been?
Oh, he had 3 assists tonight.
Oh my God! There you go. There's a difference maker there. There's point taken there.
Yeah, that was
Man.
the same thing for me because I like the Roslovic deal. I like the Wenberg deal. Ruedel of initially I didn't like because I didn't look at his metrics before, and I haven't watched a lot of Pittsburgh this year, but for the games I saw him playing in Pittsburgh, he didn't look good defensively. Now I'm willing to put that more to the fact that Pittsburgh is just a bad defensive team overall,
Yeah,
and they
Brian
made him look
Boyle.
bad. So, but but the 2 games he's played so far, he's looked solid.
Brian
So
Boyle was hyping him up a lot on the Up in the Blue Seats podcast and on the broadcast. By the way, Boyle needs to be like that needs to be a thing, like where he's between the benches. That's like that Pierre Maguire thing, Ray Ferraro. That's him. Brian Boyle right there.
But yeah,
Love it.
just going back, it's like I said, I liked who they got at the deadline. I just like what Evan said, and like what we were saying on our trade deadline stream, they just didn't get that big difference maker that could potentially, take them over the top in the playoffs. And that's why
Yeah.
I'm afraid to play Carolina in the second round because I'm like, because Gensel's just bound to take over that series. It's
Yeah.
like it's written in the stars.
I'm like, okay, in the past, I've been afraid of like, the matchups, like who we're gonna play. But now I think you and Evan are like, it shouldn't matter who the Rangers play. Like they should be able to beat anybody, right? Like that's how you guys are thinking, right?
Well, the thing is for me is like, and I don't want to attack Rangers Twitter, but there's like through Rangers Twitter, everyone's saying that like, this team is different. This is, the best team in the league. And then they go out and I see people, saying that they don't want to win the division because they want to avoid playing Tampa. But it's like if you think this is the best team in the league, then it shouldn't matter who they play in the first round, right? And if Tampa is that good and they knock out Carolina, well then you're just gonna have to play them in the second round. So it's like if you really think that this is the best team in the league, then they should be able to go out and beat anybody.
Yeah.
And for me, I want them to win the division. I want them to finish as high as possible. I don't consider the President's Trophy a curse a real thing. It's not. I just want them to win hockey games, and I just want them to carry good momentum into the playoffs.
It's a curse because it's a high expectation. Like everybody's after you. Like everybody knows that they're the best team, right? So it just becomes that much harder. You have a target on your back. Like you look at how Boston broke like every regular season team record last year and they lost in the first round. You know what I mean? Like that was a team they added at the deadline. They did everything they could possibly do to win and they lost in the first round. So that's something where it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like you should I get it. I get it though. Yeah, you want to be the best team, you should be able to beat anybody. In the past, like I said, in the past I've been on like the side of Rangers Twitter where I was like, yeah, I don't want to play this team in the first round. But Tampa Bay, to me, that's like destiny. This goes back, maybe this might be my ice cold take, but this goes back to 2015. Tampa's run, like, of success started with that 2015 run to the Stanley Cup final when they beat us in the Eastern Conference Final. Ever since then, they've been, like, one of the best teams in the league. They've won how many cups? 2 cups. They've
Two
been to
cups.
4 finals. How
Yeah.
many Eastern Conference Finals? They're, like,
A lot.
a
I mean,
lot.
they went 2015, 2016, 2018, 2020, 21, and 22. Six
Yeah.
conference
Oh my
finals.
gosh. Yeah. So, what I'm saying is it started with us. It's gonna end with us. As soon as the Rangers beat the Lightning, I think that's I don't know. I didn't think the guys were that young. I didn't think Stamkos and like Kucherov and those guys were that young. They're only like 30 years old. So maybe I'm a bit out of line for saying this, but I mean, Tampa Bay, it was like skating on thin ice when they didn't have Vasilevsky this year. Like they weren't in the playoffs. Now they're in the spot. So if you're gonna knock out a team, I think it's destiny. Like the Rangers got 10 years later, 9 years later. Hell yeah, man. Sign me up. I would take a Rangers Lightning first round series, and I think the Rangers need to win that. If it's meant to be for this core of players on the Rangers, they have to beat Tampa's core of players.
I'll
It's a tough ask, but like I'm saying what they did to us, to our core of players in 2015, we have to do to their experienced core of players right now in 2024.
I was hoping that was 2022, but we all know how that
Yeah.
went.
Yeah. Laugh for MVP says hello.
Laugh. Good evening.
Good evening. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Common good take D. Yes. 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 It's not a curse at all. It's just that one team can win. Nobody says it's a curse being the best teams in other sports.
And
Yeah.
listen, that's the beauty of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's why it's the best playoffs in all of sports. It's not predictable at all. Anybody can beat anybody in a 7-game series.
And then this too, I just want the playoffs to run through the Garden, especially because they can win the President's Trophy. Yeah, we need home ice advantage. It's huge. It's huge.
Play.
Um,
What we want to hear, Bob O'Reilly.
yes, yes, electric. Um, Gensel's had 2 3-point games for the Canes.
Yeah.
11 points in 7 games for Gensel. Matt Joey Core, yes. Uh, exactly. If they got the guys they did and got Gensel, I would feel so confident. Yeah. Uh, moving on here, I want to talk a little bit. Let's go back to your. Let's talk about this. I mean, we're talking about how Rangers fans are on Twitter. Let's bring this up here. So after the Tampa game, right? You were talking. You posted something about the loss to Tampa, right? And like how the Rangers' effort was, right? What exactly did you say? Do you remember?
It wasn't about the effort. It was more that I can't trust this team to win a cup because it seems like every time they face a little adversity, their heads drop and they just or like if they make a mistake in a game, their heads drop and they just, completely collapse or crash, as what my man Frank says. But it's like and it's like I'm right to question their mentality because it's like until you actually do it, until you actually lift that cup over your head, you have to question that mentality because it's like it's like people were questioning Colorado's mentality before they did it in 22. How people were questioning Washington's mentality before
Yeah,
they
I
did
was
it in
just
eight
gonna say.
before they did it in 2018. It's like until you do it and until you get over that hurdle and and you kill those demons, then it's like I just don't have that trust.
Yeah, St. Louis in 2019, even
Yeah,
Tampa Bay in 2020,
and it's like going back to the Tampa game, right? I mean, they were just coming off 3 games in a row, against St. Louis, the Devils,
and the Hurricanes.
and the Hurricanes, where they played really well defensively. That first half of that Tampa game, they played really well. They shut down Tampa completely. Tampa had nothing going on, and then that one mistake by Brodzinski, and they just collapsed.
So you think it was just facing the adversity of
I
that turnover? You
I
don't
think
think it had anything to do with fatigue?
no. See, the fatigue argument I could have understood if this wasn't a constant thing that the Rangers do, because there's so many examples. You go back to 22, you're up 2-0 against Tampa. Truba has that meltdown. You lose Game 3. Rest of the series goes down the drain. You go to 23, up 2-0 against the Devils. You lose that heartbreaking game in OT against the Devils. They pretty much fall apart afterwards. And then even like not even talking about just series, but if you look at a lot of games this year, how many times have the Rangers given up a goal and then like 15 seconds later they give up another goal? There's a lot of times where they get punched in the mouth and they don't know how to react.
It's been, you know what? That was a huge, huge thing in like the beginning of the season. It's kind of tapered off just a little bit since. It was
Yeah,
like huge within the first couple months of the season. That was like, I swear, it was like 10, 15 times that happened.
yeah. Evan put my tweet in the comments.
Uh,
This is
This is
why.
why I can't trust this team. One stupid effing mistake and they lose their shape and confidence. Wake up. Yeah. The was that the one, like, after
That was after. Well, that was after they lost the game.
Oh, this is the one. This is why I have a hard
Oh
time
yeah,
believing this group of players can win a cup. They are mentally weak. They let one mistake get to them and they collapse. This is not just tonight either. This is a constant trend with this group. Hashtag MYR. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, but what about, like, so in the past, the Rangers have been like a really good come from behind team. Like, you think that's different? Like, what you're talking about, like this adversity that they're facing, like where it's a mistake that they have to
I
overcome
think. I
versus
think.
a lead. Do you think those are two
I
different things?
think. I think when they're down initially, they're able to come back. But when they have the lead and they have the momentum, and then they lose it, then they have a hard time of regaining that momentum and that lead.
I see.
It feels
I
like
see.
they just. It just feels like once they lose it, it's like they don't know what to do. And it's like I really believe in my head that if Brodzinski doesn't make the mistake, the Rangers win that game.
Okay, yeah, I could I'm
Or
with
even
you with that
or even
100%.
like or even like let's say Tampa still scores a goal there, but it's like instead of Brodzinski turning the puck over, it's Hedman carries the puck up the ice. He passes the puck up the point, and Point just snipes a goal. And it's
Right.
2-1. I still think the Rangers win that game because it's not off a bad turnover where they're just it's all in their heads that they made a mistake and then they feel down for themselves. It's like, okay, Tampa scored a nice goal. Let's just now let's get back to our game.
Yeah.
If it happened like that, then I still think they would have won that game.
So, do you think, like, the whole thing that, like, Laviolette's doing, like, with the group hug thing versus and then also, like, with Kreider, how he's kinda like, my theory about how he's shielding him from the media, about benching him, he's, like, trying to uplift them so that they, bounce back better from mistakes like that where they could lift each other up, like, from a mistake like Brodzinski made so that they could be better equipped to handle that come playoff time. Do you think that's a thing?
No, I like that. I like all the things that Lavi's done this year. Especially with you know, the group hugs, like you said.
But
Like
do you s
Earl,
my question is, like, do you think Laviolette sees what you're seeing? Like, do you think, like, he sees that same thing?
I hope he does.
Okay.
I hope. I
Yeah,
mean,
no
I'm not in the room with him, so I don't
yeah.
know. But I mean, he's won a cup before, so I mean, like, he knows what it takes to get over the line.
That seems like a very difficult thing to overcome, but that's also one of those things that separates good teams from great teams. I feel like that's something like one of the last cogs internally that needs to turn before the Rangers figure everything out is how you overcome mistakes like that. Um,
There's two
Go ahead.
things, mentally for me that they got to fix up. It's not letting one mistake get to you, and just playing a good, consistent brand of hockey. That good because especially like if you look over and it's not just 2 years ago. It's with old Ranger teams. th- You know, it's a big reason why they always go 7 games in the series because they can't put together multiple good consistent defensive games, and then you go long. You play multiple 7 game series. And by the time you get to the conference final, you're dead, and that's why you don't see the team get over that last hurdle and lifting a cup over their head.
Evan brought up, like, last night, the Rangers scored a goal at one point in Boston, Barstool and Boston, yes, okay. Boston started to put on the pressure a bit. It's little things like that. Yeah. Also, the beginning of the game last night, the Rangers were playing the first 6 minutes until Fox took that stupid penalty. Rangers were great. The Rangers were great, and then they kill off the penalty. Right as the penalty expires, DeBrusk scores. And then after, how would you describe, like, the play? Like, were the Rangers getting dominated after that, or did they pick back up where they left off? Because it was kinda hard for me to tell. I was saying, like, hopefully they could pick up where they left off with that, and they don't let that goal hinder them because they were playing really, really well. Boston had, like, maybe 1 or 2 shot attempts in those first 6 minutes. The Rangers had, like 7 to 10 shot attempts in those first 6 minutes.
Well, I mean, I didn't see the first period really because I was still at work, so I
Okay.
was I was listening to the game. But I mean, like I caught like the last 3 minutes of the period. But I mean, yeah, they started off well the first 6 minutes. They took that penalty. They had that, Gustin made that bad play on the PK where he went to take down Trent Frederick for no reason, and DeBrusque had that, wide open chance. They didn't play well the last half of that period, and then I mean, from the second period on, they played really well. They played really good shutdown defense.
Yeah, they were really good, and they didn't let the so they Panarin scored the 2 goals, right? And then after that, the Boston tied it. It was, the guy Brazeau, I think that's how
Yeah,
you say his name,
yeah.
Brazeau tied it, and, it's like, "Oh, no, I don't know if the Rangers are gonna be able to come back from this or, like, can they step it up, get this goal back?" And then boom, right away, next shift, top line gets out there, nice slap pass by Gustafsson, Fox absolutely snipes it, and there's a game-winning goal. Like, that response, that's what you're looking for,
That's
right?
that's what I want to see. You know,
That's what you wanna see.
they
You wanna
played.
see that, but more consistently.
Yeah, like I said, that whole second period they play well, and then beginning of that third, they let up that I forgot who was on the ice, but it was a bad defensive play, and I was like, oh, here we go again. After a good second period, they're gonna come out and play bad defense again, and they made the mistake. They didn't let it get to them. They said let's regroup, and Fox got scored the nice goal, and they shut him down. They shut him down the rest of the way.
They have a lot I think the Rangers have a lot to prove here. I mean, they've proven a lot this season, just still being first the entire way, but if they could pick each other up, I think that's a very important point that you're talking about here. Like, this is something that we have to keep an eye on. Uh, we talked about the goals, like, within a minute of each other, 2 goals within a minute of each other, and I think it goes both ways too, like, when the Rangers score and then they let up a goal, like, a minute after, or something like that. That's something we have to watch. What's the other thing that I was gonna say? Oh, yes. I have it here in my notes. It was a good bounce back performance from Boston. Like, the pace of play within those first 6 minutes, I've noticed something. I don't know if you notice it too, but, like, when I think the Rangers are at their best when there's, like, a good pace to the game, when you really sit down and enjoy a hockey game, when there's no whistles, no stoppages, where you could, just pick up your phone and send a tweet or something like that, or send a text message, like, when the game just completely goes. You start like 6 minutes into the game, there's only a couple whistles. There were 6 stoppages in the first 6 minutes of the first period, 9 in the last 14 minutes. So it got really choppy towards the end, but it seemed like the Rangers were playing a really smooth style, like going from one line to the next. Do you think that's like a strength of the Rangers?
It was the same against the Islanders as well. Remember that game on Sunday? I mean, they started off very well. It was a quick,
Yes,
fast game,
yes.
and I
I
know
forgot about that.
and I know Horvat scored the first goal to make it 1-0, but pretty much that whole game they were the better team. And yeah, like you were saying, they play much better when the neutral zone's wide open and they're able to just move the puck up the ice. Because when they're able to get a couple passes together, they are, maybe they're not the fastest team individually, but as a group, they can move up. They can move the puck up the ice quick, and they can create they can create you know a lot of dangerous chances. It's more the games like I've been saying against Winnipeg and Florida. Those tight games where the neutral, it's a tight checking game and they're clogging up the neutral zone. That's the games where the Rangers really struggle.
Mhm.
But in those games where it's a high flying game, neutral zone's wide open. More in terms of the Rangers have control of the neutral zone defensively, and the neutral zones is open for them offensively. Those are the games that really suit them more.
Like, even in the Winnipeg game, the first period, I thought the Rangers did a really nice job of, like, keeping the pace flowing. It was a really nice it was fast-paced, first period, and I think their conditioning is, like, an advantage. Like, they're conditioned well enough to keep up with it and control, like, the pace. So, like, if they chip pucks deep to beat the trap and they keep everything moving, there's no whistles or stoppages, or they chip it out of play or get, uh, knocked off sides or something like that. If they keep everything moving, then, um, you keep it in a rhythm, they could keep going with that. When the game slows down, they aren't as good. So, like, in the second half of that game against Winnipeg, that's when it really started to feel like a slog fest, like, like, "Oh, I gotta sit through this whistle, damn it." And, like, that's just how we feel as fans, and then when it comes to, like, the Rangers on the ice, they can't get into a rhythm, they can't trip pucks deep, and Winnipeg was having an easy time defensively, and that probably contributes to how easy Buck was seeing the plays develop in front of him, and how he was able to make like so many of those stops. Let's see here. The wild inconsistency of the special teams lately worries me a bit too, because you got to be money on the few power play chances you get, especially come playoff time. That's a good point.
Yeah.
We don't know how the refs are going to be. We don't know how the referees are going to be in the playoffs. Always seems to be an issue. Rangers have been ref the entire year. It seems like lots of bad calls. A lot of them came in the beginning of the year, where it's just like, I don't know what the hell this guy is looking at, but he made that call, so whatever. But
And power play once kind of cooled off a bit
yeah,
again.
you think they gotta? I think they
They
might have to move Lafreniere
they
up on
gotta
there.
they gotta switch Mika and Laffy, or even I don't know, maybe take Kreider off. I know Evan brought up an idea where it's like you keep Panarin, you keep Fox, and what was it? No, it was more you put Laffy in the bumper and you put Trocheck in front of the net.
Ooh, I like Lafreniere in the bumper. I like
Yeah,
that a lot. The Rangers don't use that a lot. They don't use the bumper. All these other teams that have good power plays, they use the bumper. Tampa Bay always uses the bumper. Always find a way to get point in the slot and get him a
it's
goal.
yeah they struggle a lot of times. It's like it's not even on the power play either. You notice a lot of times too when because they do the Rangers are a very good possession team in the offensive zone, but a lot of times you notice everything's to the perimeter and to the outside,
Yes, I was
and
just gonna
they
say it's
and
always to the outside.
and they can never get that one dangerous pass to a guy open in the slot.
You you know what I was looking at? I was looking for that during that Islanders game, because every time the Rangers play the Islanders, they always box us out, and it's like
We'll
it's
look at
so frustrating. And then you know what happened in that Islanders game? I think they had like 2 or 3 goals came from the slot, from middle of the ice, like Zibanejad's goal,
we'll look at
Lafreniere's
the
goal, and then I
Laffy.
think Kako skated out. I don't know what they were doing defensively there, but he just skated right out from the boards and he sniped it. You
Yeah, they
know?
gotta they gotta be a lot more creative with how they move the puck on the power play.
Yeah, yeah, it's too predictable. It's always been a thing. You could tell. All right, yeah, they're gonna set up Miko on this one, or
It's
like,
like
okay, Fox is gonna throw it on that. Look for a deflection.
remember the earlier in the year, I think this was maybe in November, but the first game they played against the Bruins in Boston, that Trocheck winner when him and Mika were interchanging, and then Trocheck got open into the middle of the slot. Mika found him a nice pass, and he got the game winner.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what we need to see more of.
and I think Trocheck had the tying goal on a power play too, where he
Yeah.
came from the middle of the ice. Came from the
Or
middle of the
maybe
ice. So like,
or maybe no that or maybe no that goal that I said that was a tying goal. And then
yes,
the second goal he scored
yeah,
the game winner as
I
well,
think
yeah.
the game winner, Panarin fed it back door to Trocheck and he buried it.
It's crazy too, like when you watch other power plays too, like when you put on an Oiler game, for example, and I know like the quality of player, or at least the quality of top players that Edmonton have are so much higher. But it's like when you watch a power play that Edmonton has, and it's got McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and Bouchard on it. All of them are just maybe not Zach Hyman because he's just waiting in the front of the net just to bury a puck, but all four of them are just constantly interchanging, and it's like
They're constantly
it's
moving.
it's
They could
crazy.
Yeah, they could all play in different spots. Like, that's the thing too. Zibanejad, they've moved Zibanejad around so many times, and he's done fairly well at each spot that he's been at. They put him in Panarin's spot, they put him in the bumper or the slot, they put him on the right point, they put him at the point, and it doesn't matter. Like, I like that idea, yeah, but I think Lafreniere deserves a promotion. The kid
He does.
is playing really, really well.
I mean, he's up to 45 points right now. He's 5 away from 50. He should be able to break 50. I mean, they have like what 12 games left. So if he gets up to 50, maybe even 51, 52, he carries into the playoffs. He has good playoffs, and then look next year, he works on his shot a bit. You know,
Finishing.
you push for 70 points next year. I think he
He's
could do it.
he's got to spend more time with Kako, get some finish in him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I mean, even if you look, I mean, we've said a lot of the times this year where it's like he set up Panarin and Trocheck with some incredibly nice passes, and they just couldn't finish it. But it's like he's also had a lot of opportunities himself where he could have finished his own chances, and he just didn't. But I think he's capable of being a 70 to 80 point guy.
I think so. That's it's not like out of the realm of possibilities, I will say.
I mean, look, it
At the
took new.
beginning of the year, we would have laughed at we all of us would have laughed at that. We've been
Oh yeah,
like, "You're crazy." He hasn't done anything to prove that he's this capable.
I mean,
Uh,
and even if you look like at another guy like Nugent Hopkins, I mean, it took him a while until he was able to crack that 100 point marker.
yeah. First overall
Yeah.
pick. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for these guys. So it's not immediate. It's New York.
I mean,
It's
look,
New York though.
he's still 22. He's still got plenty of years ahead of him. So it's like, if he could, like I said, he makes the next jump next year, and he gets up to 70 points. He gets PP one time, and I think like Evan's been saying on his streams, I think it's in the benefit of the Rangers to try and lock up Lafreniere on a team friendly extension this offseason.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be time for that actually. Like I didn't talk to anybody about it, but I was like thinking to myself like last week in the car, like, damn, really? Like last year it was like, no, this kid doesn't deserve that. This is not the time to do it, bridge him. And now it's like, damn, 45 points, about to crack 50. Probably gonna have another good season next year if he stays with Panarin on the line. Yeah, you might want to lock him up now. Like you look at what Owen Tippett just got as a contract extension. It might be time to give him a 6 to 8 year deal. Invest in him because they like him. The Rangers like him. Pizza D with this sauce
Give
D.
give him the Atlanta Braves contract extension.
Oh yeah. Maybe if Kreider gets scratched for some rest down the stretch, it would be a blessing in disguise, and Laugh will get his chance there. And then come playoff time, maybe they'll utilize it. What I need? What is this? The Mike Tomlin? I gotta. What's the reaction to that? That's the Mike Tomlin on the
Y'all
couch thing.
y'all know it's more like
How do we tell him?
that's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
Y'all
Pops,
y'all know that ain't happening.
y'all know that ain't happening. Optimistic E. Man, get out of here with that. No way, no way. Yeah, maybe if Kreider gets scratched. Look at this guy. Look at this idiot. It's ice cold takes time. Do you need a reminder?
I think I'm fairly. I mean, if you want to say it, you can.
Good, because it's an accurate statement backed by facts and observations that is solid in nature, similar to a block of ice, i.e., spot on claim. Me? Artemi Panarin, Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award winner. I'm sorry. Like this is a guy. Like this is the we were talking before in the beginning, before we started the stream. Like the Rangers and in New York, our favorite teams. They never get the guy in their prime, ready to go, like at the top of his game. They never get that guy. It's always like a year or so too late. You go back to I think in one of the documentaries of the Rangers 94 Cup, Howie Rose was saying like about
Messier.
past Messier. He was saying like is this gonna be a guy like where they get him 1 year too late, like Marcel Dion or Phil Esposito or Guy Lafleur. Like they always get the guy 1 year too late. Nuh-uh. Panarin, he just had his 40th fucking goal this year. I had to put the F bomb in there. I'm sorry. Like that, I didn't expect Panarin to have 40 goals after he passed the puck so much
Yeah,
last year.
it's
He's having his best season. He's going to break 100 points. Finally. Finally. He stayed healthy. No issues off the ice. Finally going to get 100 points this year. I think he should honestly be getting Hart Trophy votes because if you took him off this team, the Rangers are nowhere near first place. They might be competing for a wild card spot. I wasn't gonna say that, but I just threw it maybe because Lafreniere and because they have Shesterkin. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
even if like you compare him to that 20 what was it, the 1920 season. I mean, it's we played one more game more than that season, and Panarin only had 32 goals. He has 41. That's a big jump.
Quick got my vote. Yeah, that's my number two, man. Like that's like with
Also, big up to Quick from last night, tying Ryan Miller for wins by
yeah,
an American
yeah, I
goalie.
remember Ryan Miller. That guy was freaking awesome goaltender. For Quick to tie that man is quite the accomplishment. Congratulations to Quick. Like, and I hope he does it. He breaks the record at home on garden ice. Like that is just we're coming full circle here. Like this motherfucker, we trying to beat him in the playoffs 10 years ago and for the Stanley Cup and he kicks our ass. And now 10 years later, he's here breaking the American record for wins by a goaltender. Right? Like this is
Yeah, it's
we've come
crazy.
full circle.
If you
Then
if you told me in 2014, 10 years ago, that Quick would be a Ranger, it's like
yeah,
nah, no.
if you time traveled, it's like I'm here from the future. Jonathan Quick will be the Rangers goaltender in 2024. It's like, get out of here. I don't want to know about the future. Go
And
back.
even good for him. It's like he also got that contract extension as well for next year.
Yeah, he earned that. Yeah, I don't even care, but whatever the money is on that, worth it. I don't care. give him give him anything. I love the guy. I love the guy. I think Quick is having an outstanding season. For me, though, I gotta vote for Panarin. I have to, especially after all the criticism that he got last season. Dude, like that's just for me. I had doubts about him too. I was worried that they were gonna trade him. I wasn't sure how he would come back, but he's played really well. If he could play like this in the playoffs, this solidified as like one of the better players that the Rangers have had in recent memory for sure.
Yeah, that's the one concern I've had with Panarin. Like that's why tomorrow's gonna be interesting because the Winnipeg game, I thought he didn't play well. The other Panther game, I didn't feel like he played well. I gotta see him play well in those tight checking playoff games because I'm still
Surprised it wasn't more of like that, yesterday against Boston.
I think it was a little more. I think that game is a little more wide open though. The Bruins are not as good in the neutral zone as the Panthers, Canes, or the Panthers for me. So I think he when he has a lot more time and space with the puck, that's when he's more dangerous. But I gotta see him tomorrow have a good game, just so I can be a little more confident in him come playoff time.
I was saying last week that if it does come to where he doesn't have as much space, maybe give the puck more to Lafreniere because it seems like he's able to create on his own.
And that's the one big improvement he's had with his game this year is carrying the puck up the ice
Yeah,
because
that's a big advantage. The
he looks a lot more confident this year.
One of the only guys that was able to carry the puck all over the line with control over the past couple of years is Heedle, and now you add Lafreniere to that mix, and it opens up a whole nother possibility of options for the Rangers offensively. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to if Panarin isn't feeling it with like the space, if it becomes tight, you defer to Lafreniere and you just let him do the work. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's time to give him the keys for a test drive or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what
Even
I'm saying.
even Trocheck.
Yeah, Trocheck's all three of those guys are having career years. Like the Trocheck, you really can't honestly. You could make an argument for either one of those guys to be the extra effort award winner or the team MVP. You can make a case. You really can because Trocheck's having a career year. Lafreniere, we had a lot of high expectations for him, and he's looks like he's going to hit 50 points at the very least. He's hit 20 goals, broke his career high. He's having a great season. Panarin, 100 points pretty much. And then I think I'm gonna go back to this thing. The second line have 11.5 WAR. The rest of the team combined has less. That geez, it's the second line and the goalies that have a case. Yeah, for the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. Their second line, the Rangers' second line, is like the Rangers' third line 10 years ago, like the Brassard, Pouliot, Zuccarello line. That was like the go-to line. Like if when in doubt, you go to them and they'll get you. They'll get you anything. They'll get you a penalty. They'll get you a goal. They'll make something happen out there. That's this line for us.
If you were able to give an MVP award out for a specific line, it'd be that line because that line has completely carried them this year.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, what you have an ice cold take, Matt? It's a privilege. Something, anything.
It's not going to be Rangers related, but my Stanley Cup final prediction is Panthers and Jets.
Panthers and Jets.
Panthers win the cup.
How many games?
7.
7 game series. Panthers Jets. Ooh, definitely. LMFAO. Yeah. The NHL. Gary Bettman would definitely be pissed with you. Definitely would be pissed with you. He's gonna be like, "No, I want Vegas back in there." And
I
let's
mean, look,
see.
if Vegas gets all the guys, the West for me is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun because that's just going to be a bloodbath.
Maybe McDavid. Maybe privileged Dave.
Privilege. And that's why like a big thing for me going back to the Rangers. That's why it's a benefit for the Rangers to get through those series as early as possible. Because I look at some of those matchups in the West, I could easily see them go 6 or 7 games. So I mean, if you get your series done early, you get through with as little injuries as possible. You let those teams in the West beat up each other, and you get to the final, then you never know.
I hope this is a lesson for the Rangers, like the schedule that they've been having, like down the stretch, where it's like so many games and like so few days. It's 13 games in like 27 days right now. Or like including that Boston one. It's like 13 games in 27 days. Ridiculous. It's like every other day, pretty much. Um, but I hope that's a lesson for them to finish a damn series in 5 games
Yeah.
or 4 games, 6 games, less than 7. You can't take every series to 7 games because you're gonna tire yourself out and you're not gonna be able to play.
Well, I think the first series. So let's just say like they finish first, right, and they play either Detroit or Tampa. They got to finish that series quickly because most likely they'll end up playing Carolina in the second round, and that's a guaranteed 7 game series right there.
Mm.
And then if they get to the conference final, they're most likely going to play Florida, who's going to give them a tough time as well. So that's probably going to be another long series as well. So that first round series, whoever they play, whether that be they finish first and they play Tampa or Detroit, or if they finish second and they play the Flyers, it's got to be a quick series. It's 5 games at the most.
If they if it's a Flyers or the Red Wings, I'm not accepting anything less than 5 game series. I'm sorry. Like that's like you're the best. You were in first place the majority of the season. You should be able to beat a team that shouldn't have even been there. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is. That's how I feel. That's my expectation. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a bit unrealistic. Maybe you could do the Mike Tomlin on the couch thing.
Well, that's what Evan's currently doing right
You're
now.
right. But that's how I feel. I'm sitting like Mike Tomlin right now. Yeah, I know you are, Evan. No. But last thing I want to say, you guys aren't less of fans because you're criticized. I know you guys get a lot of heat for that. You guys are my friends. I'm not gonna come here like and just I'm not being biased here either. I'll admit sometimes you guys might take it a little too far. Like I understand you expect greatness and stuff like, but it's good to have high expectation. And like where you take it too far, like maybe with Lafreniere in the beginning of the season, I thought it was a little too far, even though I was like kind of on the boat of like, yeah, this kid needs to step it up. But like we have these high expectations because we've been let down so many times with our other teams. We don't want to trust a good thing until it's done. Like you said, I don't believe it's there until this happens. Like until it's Gary Bettman handing the cup over to Jacob Trouba.
It's like I've been saying, like, this is New York City. The place where championships are supposed to be won. We gotta have high standards. We gotta hold our teams accountable. We should be demanding championships. And it's like I know I was saying to Evan last year, but it's like I know it's unrealistic to win a championship every single year. Like it's not gonna happen. But it's like don't just settle for mediocrity and just making the playoffs every year. It's like eventually it's like one of these years we have to, break the ice and win the cup finally. I mean, it's gonna be 30 years this year if they don't do it.
Hmm. At this point, it's on the players right now. Like, so I understand just saying like whenever something goes wrong, you call them out for it because it makes when they do make something happen, like something really good happen, it makes it so much better. It really does. Like Johnny Superbman always says, "The taller the mountain, the sweeter the victory."
Yeah.
What is the
That's that's Pops.
oh pops? The thing that bothers me, I admit it, I was wrong about laugh, but nobody does the same when I'm right and they're wrong. But that's the nature of this. Bottom line, people spend way too much time on their damn phones. Like, get off X, get off
Yeah.
Twitter, cleanse yourself, go outside, go ride a bike, go play around, shoot the puck around or something like that. Like, go eat a slice of pizza. Like, you got to get off social media, man. It's bad. It's bad. Sometimes it's just, if you're on there too much, you just see all this stuff stack up, and it's just one thing after another. Just get off the app, as Don LaGreca says. Get off the phone. Get off the phone.
The one thing, the one thing I will say though, it's like the one reason why it's like we constantly go back and forth with Rangers Twitter, because it's like whenever like me, Evan, or anybody else puts out a statement on Twitter and people tell us that we're wrong and negative, they never actually tell us why we're wrong. Like they never actually like give us statistical evidence to show us why we're wrong. They just call us stupid, and it's like,
Because they don't
well,
get into an argument.
what's like I'm willing to debate you. It's like us having different opinions, that's cool. But it's like if we're gonna have different opinions, at least like I'll give you my argument, you give me yours, and let's settle this. But don't just go and saying like you're stupid because you think something else. And it's like if it's like and if you actually have a case to prove me wrong, all right, give me statistical evidence to show me that I'm wrong,
Or let's have a discussion
or
here.
let's have a
Like,
discussion. Yeah.
honestly, if someone ever did like, I feel like what I would do is just like say, "All right, debate me on the come on the podcast and let's talk about it here. Let's talk about why do you feel this way." Like, I would do that. Like, I would say like, let's take it off of the app here. Let's stop texting back and forth and come talk to me like face to face, or as close to face as we can, and virtual online stuff here. But, like, yeah, and to say, like, you're less of a fan, like, that's not, to me, it's really cheap. Like, that's just not how I would go about it. Like, you disagree on something, okay. You see something that you don't agree with or don't like, you think it's in poor taste or you think it's a bad take, okay, but you don't have to say, like, this person is less of a fan because of that. Brian Boyle was, like, doing his rankings of, like, the top 5 contenders out of the Western Conference, and he left off Vancouver, and all the Vancouver fans flooded his mentions and his comments like, "How dare you leave Vancouver off? You're an idiot, blah, 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 blah." Like, it's like, "No, shut up." Like, I don't think they're bad. It's just I think these teams are better. It's not like it's not the same thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's just relax, like, get off the phone. Just get off the phone here.
Or
Just
it's like after a game, like let's say the Rangers win, but they play bad, and I point out that it's like the Rangers played bad defensively. They have to fix up for next game, and people like it's like, and people say it's like, oh, you're not the coach. Stop pointing it out. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not the coach, but I could still point out when they played bad and still won.
but
It's
you
like
also do content for Rangers Central, though. It's
Yeah,
different.
and
Like,
it's like, and it's like, but it's like I don't have to be the coach either. It's like I can have my own opinion, and it's like you don't think Lavi's saying the same thing as well after a game in the locker room with the guys, saying it's like, okay, guys, we won, but we got to fix up on this, otherwise, this style of play is not going to be consistent in terms of getting wins.
I'll be honest, like, I've never played the game of hockey. I've watched it for a long time. I'm just a fan of the sport. So, like, maybe it is me, like, talking out of my ass, like, when I say, like, "Oh, the Rangers look like they're playing really fast today." Like, yeah, for sure, you could say, like, "Oh, you've never played hockey. What the fuck do you know?" It's like, "Yeah, man, I'm just observing with my eyes." Like, that's it. I'm just making an observation. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. This is just what I'm watching, and I'm putting it out there into the Twitter sphere. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not something. Not everything has to be personal here, but like, I think as fans though, we need to like come together as one, just like the Rangers are doing on the ice. Like I said in the beginning, I at times where I felt like you guys were like took it overboard. But now I'm like on your side a little bit. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I have high expectations too. I don't want to be let down like I was last year or like I was with the Mets in 2022 with that disaster. I don't want it to happen. I've experienced it far too long with all my teams. I've never seen my team win a championship. I want it to happen, but I'm not going to believe it until it happens. I want to be excited, but at the same time, I it's the lifestyle of being a Mets fan. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And again, it's like because I'm critical of the team, it doesn't mean like I hate them or anything. It's like before Roslovic came in and Miko was having that really bad stretch, and I was saying that's like he's not playing like an elite one C right now, and he wasn't. The numbers prove that. His the way like you actually watch him on the ice prove that, and
Yes.
it's not hate. It's saying that's like okay, this guy supposedly the number one elite center on this team. He's making $8.5 million. I expect them to play at this level. And if he's not, I'm going to criticize him. Not
Mhm.
because I hate him, but because I am, holding him to such a high standard.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with interpretation too of how people interpret it. Like you say something like, "All right, Zibanejad is not a 1 seed right now." They say like, "How dare you? He scored 40 goals this one year." Right? 40 goals in 60 games, right? It's like, how could you say he was never a 1 seed? You didn't say he was never a 1 seed. You just said he's not a 1 seed like right now,
And it's
right? Like
just, yeah, and it's the same thing like Evan said. Just because we've seen him play at a high level, that's that's why we demand more of him because we know he can play at that level. It's like when we were talking about the defense. Earlier on in the year, they played very well defensive hockey together as a team. Their structure was incredible, and it went away. And we criticized them for playing bad defense because we know that they're capable of playing that way.
I'm gonna bring this is a good point by Evan too. We're trying to do all media stuff, and anyone in media will tell you players don't want you constantly shaking ass for them. They want honesty as long as it's not over the top where
Yeah,
you
exactly.
threaten them. Like the guy from, all right, yeah, a journalist. I'll call out another journalist. The clown in Philly that was doing
Yeah.
the Hayes thing. That Tortorella won't answer his question still. That's bad journalism. That's not what we want. We don't want to do that. We're calling out. We call when we see something, we say something. Like this is just, we're not sugarcoating it. We say it how it is. Like this is how the league used to be with like a lot of coaches. There was a lot of guys that were like that. It just seems right now. It seems like Tortorella is really the only guy that does that. Um, but I think now with the way the with we're dealing with people here too. So the players are different styles. They're different types of people than like the previous generation was. So there's different strategies for handling that. So maybe we as fans have to adapt to that as well. But we're also dealing with that stuff too, like in our own personal lives. So maybe we we put it into what we're saying and what we're observing online. I don't know, or observing of the hockey game. Sorry. Um, yeah, which I'm trying to be better with because I regret a lot of what I said about laugh and embarrassed by it. Yeah, and we should be. We should be like we said a lot of we all said gave Lafreniere crap for it, but I mean maybe he saw it and made himself better for it. In which case, we appreciate that. We love that. We want the players to see this stuff, but we want our messages to be like, "Hey, man, we know you're capable of accomplishing great things, but we want you to be better." We want it to come across as that, not as like, "You're a piece of shit. You're a bad player. I want you off my hockey team." Like, I don't want it like that. I just want it to be like constructive criticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I said, and it's like, but people just don't seem to grasp it for whatever reason. Criticism and hate are two different things. It's
Yeah,
like when a player is playing poorly, you should be able to say he's not playing well right now. But it's like once you start getting to things where it's like, death threats start flying, and you
it's
bring up
over the
and then
yeah.
you bring in a player's family into it. It's like there's certain lines where it's like you don't cross.
Yeah, very clearly, very clear. Like if you're wishing injury upon another
Yeah, that's
player, like that's like, all right, yeah, man, take it easy here. Like this is dial it back. Think about what you just said. Like that's something where I can't. Be careful what you say, Joey. The freaks in the comments be like you're delusional if you think the players actually know you. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope Jacob Trouba is not on Twitter because then he'll see however many days of that person requesting the podcast coming on the podcast.
coffee with the cap.
Yeah, coffee. I'll pay. I'll pay. Yeah, as if he can't afford a cup of coffee.
I promise I'll behave.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's like that's a red flag right there.
Goodbye. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. Like I said, I've gotten that so much. It's funny. She promised she'll behave. Yes, yes. Don LaGreca. Man. Any last words before we wrap it up, Matt?
Um,
Is this team good enough?
if they play their game, then sure, why not? But if they don't play good, consistent defensive hockey, then I don't see them having a good chance in the playoffs.
First round exit.
Not first round exit. I think they'll get past the first round exit, but if they're not able, tighten up their game and play like I said, good consistent defensive hockey, then I think the Canes will beat them in the second round.
And
And Crane,
great ball. Dead. Cranepool. There's 90% of this audience that could have picked Ed Cranepool out of a lineup if Ed Cranepool picked them up at the airport.
hey dude, what's your name? Can you take me to Midtown?
You played for the Mets.
That's
That's cool,
cool,
man.
man.
Why didn't you play for the Mets? That's awesome, dude. What an iconic rant.
You gotta get Don on the podcast.
I got to get him back. I had him on a couple years ago. I was thinking about getting him back on. I have to do it before the playoffs because I know it's going to be crazy for him.
Yeah.
He called the Stanley Cup Finals one year. He called Game 1 on the radio. That was like a crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's still on YouTube. Like the last 5 minutes or so, or the last couple minutes, it was like crazy back and forth. I think that's on YouTube. I have to go back and listen to that. I would love to listen to that again. But yeah, Don, we got to get him on the pod, and DiPietro, he's next. I got to get him on here. But anyways, 1 hour 16 minutes later, that's Ice Cold Takes episode 182. Matt, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh yeah, thanks. And if you want me, on again, I'm more than happy to come back on.
Yeah, I know you'll be in the chat
Yeah, I'll
watching.
be in the chat. Yeah.